Eric Bischoff. My God, man, if there's somebody that loves to create controversy, it is Mr. Eric Bischoff, Eazy-E. He says there is no hope for AEW. And if you look at the ratings from last week's Thanksgiving Eve, not only was the attendance down in Chicago, the ratings were down, and they are losing viewers week by week by week. Last week's attendance was, I believe, in the 4,000 range. The year before that, they did close to 6,000 on Thanksgiving Eve. Oh, but everybody was celebrating Thanksgiving as if Thanksgiving didn't happen year over year. It didn't happen last year, the year before that, the year before that. The night before Thanksgiving ratings, 536,000 viewers with a demo that came in at a 0.15. The year before that, they did 845,000 viewers and a demo that was in the 0.3 range. Where did everybody go? Were more people celebrating Thanksgiving this year than they were last year? I don't know, man. The excuses are coming in a mile a minute. And the AEW sickos can't grasp that there is no hope for AEW. And whatever you're hanging on by, it's slowly disappearing. Eric Bischoff was on the Ariel Helwani show to discuss a wide range of topics, including the state of AEW and the product. Now, Ariel Helwani loves to push the buttons. He does. Now, Eric Bischoff is appearing on NXT tonight for whatever reason. I don't know. So, obviously, you see the narrative that is being created. We're not stupid. Eric Bischoff is showing up on NXT, NXT's direct competition to AEW, the Wednesday Night Wars, which is not Wednesday Night Wars anymore, but AEW is largely compared to NXT because, I mean, they're so far down in the fucking dumps that they can't even compete with the NXT developmental brand. Eric Bischoff's appearing on NXT, so clearly he's been one of the more vocal personalities in the IWC about AEW. So the fact that he's appearing on a WWE show now, Ariel Helwani had to throw it in there and just get his take on AEW just to rile up the sickos. I like it. It gets people talking, and it's a great strategy. But Eric Bischoff said this on the current state of AEW. They're horrible. I've given up. You know what? I used to get really frustrated with them because I actually hate seeing people screw up good opportunities. I know what that feels like, and I don't want that to happen again. I know what that feels like and know how hard good opportunities come by. So when you see somebody shooting themselves in the foot day after day, week after week, in every possible way, it's frustrating for me, and I would vent that frustration like we all do. We don't want AEW to fail. We want AEW to be successful. And right now, I mean, all these sickos have is their TV deal, which, I mean, clearly it's not making the television product better. It's actually making the television product worse, because one of my fears was they're going to get very complacent. They're going to get very lazy. They got their TV deal. They got their money coming in, and they feel like they succeeded, and they don't need to go out there and prove themselves anymore. I knew this was going to happen. Vince did it year over year. Every fucking contract season that came up with a Raw or SmackDown needing a renewal, you knew the same thing was going to happen. They're going to get their money, and the shows are not going to get better, and they're going to get their money and get lazy because they think who they are. And that's exactly what's happening with Tony Khan and AEW. Eric Bischoff continues and says, now it's just like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. There is no hope for them. Nothing's going to turn their company around. There's no light bulb going to go off on anybody's head and realize, oh, this is actually getting people to watch TV. They have no idea about what they're doing, and they're too stubborn to learn. He's not done. On there being no story that can turn it around. There is no story that can turn it around. Moxley's story's not going to turn it around. The Devil story didn't turn it around. The Elite fucking pile driving Tony Khan, Meltzer driving Tony Khan didn't turn it around. They don't know what they're doing. And then they aired the footage from All In with CM Punk and Jack Perry. And if you don't think that absolutely drove people away in the worst possible way, you're an absolutely delusional fuck. I said it then, I'm going to say it now. It had nothing to do with storyline. The only reason why they aired that footage is because Tony Khan is petty. Just like how Tony Khan is petty by keeping certain people off of television because of their relationship with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. If you utter the words of CM Punk and Cody Rhodes by name or whatever they have taught you or whatever you feel about them, you are benched in AEW. Fact. If you don't believe it, then start believing it. It's not a conspiracy theory. Tony is petty. Cody Rhodes and CM Punk were the two biggest names that they had employed in that company and were the driving force for their success. Everybody else followed their lead. And now they're not there anymore. Now you see what they're doing on WWE television. CM Punk is still one of the most sought-after names in the entire industry, and Cody Rhodes is the biggest name next to Roman Reigns in the industry as the WWE champion. They let two of the biggest names in the business go to the competition. Don't you think the fan base understand, or the real fans, most of the fans understand that when Tony Khan let something like that happen, and he sided with the Bucks and he sided with the Elite, that this was not a serious business? How are you going to let CM Punk out of his deal for the Young Bucks and Jack Perry? You know, we all got on CM Punk's case years ago, and everything that came out after the fact, more and more and more proved that Punk was right literally about everything. Everything that he said on Ariel Helwani's podcast last year during WrestleMania season, everything that he said leading up to his WWE return, everything he continues to say now, kind of low-key, low-brow, under the radar, the little jabs he takes, everything is correct. Everything that he says has been proven to be factual. Tony Khan's not running a business. Tony Khan's running a vanity project. Tony Khan is running a make-believe toy store with real-life action figures so he could feel important. Eric Bischoff and people like Eric Bischoff and Jim Cornette and me, we understand that this is the same downward spiral that we were seeing with WWE in 2019. And if it doesn't change, AEW will not last the next 4 years under their new cozy contract from Warner Brothers Discovery. It's a fucking disaster. This is the most important part of his interview yesterday with Ariel Helwani. There is no story that can turn it around. Not there, because there's nobody that knows how to tell a story. Fact. Tony Khan doesn't know how to tell a story. Will Washington, the failed podcaster that he is, doesn't know how to tell a story. This is what happens when you hire internet marks to run your company. This is what happens when you hire amateur fucking lowbrow nobodies to run your company and deal with big league talent. Where's the story? Every single week, I call out, where is the story? Where is the engagement? Where is the cliffhanger to lead us to next week's show? Where is the feeling of watching one show and saying, as that show ends, leading it to next week, man, I can't wait to watch that. I can't wait to watch what's happening on next week's Dynamite. Where's the emotional investment from viewer to character? Where's the feeling in what these men and women are doing? Clearly, everybody feels the same way because they can't fill a fucking gymnasium anymore. 2,000, 2,500 is their max for Dynamite. This show was doing 6, 7, 8,000 fucking people every week. Where did everybody go? The ratings were in the 850s to 900s every week, viewership-wise. Demos were in the high 30s to mid-30s. Where did everybody go? Why is nobody causing a shitstorm over the decline of AEW? Where did everybody go? How the fuck did we get here? There is no story. There is nothing. There's nothing to watch. Just random matches thrown together. Oh, the Continental Classic, no matter how great it is, it's not going to get people to watch your fucking show. There's no story. It's just matches. They did the same thing last year. They tried it. And then every story that you saw coming out of the Continental Classic, they did not deliver on one single fucking story. Not one. The Jon Moxley story is a fucking fail. The MJF story with Adam Cole's a fail. Bobby Lashley and Swerve Strickland is a fail. What else is there? What else is there? There is nothing. Nobody there knows how to actually tell a story. I use this analogy sometimes because it's easy to understand. Boy meets girl, Boy loses girl. Boy gets girl back. That's a story. It's not very compelling. Nobody cares. But if Shakespeare gets a hold of it, it's kind of like a version of Romeo and Juliet. So yeah, you'll hear the fans, oh, there's a great story. There's stories. Dave Meltzer says the problem with AEW is that there are so many stories that people can't keep up with them. I kid you not. He said that. And people take him seriously. The stories, if there's any, or they are so bad that the only lowest form of wrestling intellect on the planet finds enjoyment in that. Fact. There is no stories. There's none. Or I should say there are stories, but none of them are good. They are exactly how he described. Boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back. Oh my God, man. What a compelling fucking story, man. What a great way to tell a story. And people take him seriously. The stories, if there are any, are so bad that only the lowest form of wrestling intellect on the planet finds enjoyment in that. Now you will find some people, and I think this is cool, if you just like the physical presentation of guys flying all over the place and doing all kinds of athletically amazing shit, and you don't care about story, you don't care about characters, that's your jam. AEW is your jam. If that's what you like, then more power to you. It's just not viable for the masses, as Tony calls them. It's for the sickos. First, why would you want to call your fans sickos? Because the majority of them prefer not to be called that. Just a hint. Tony's vision for the company, I guess, is to provide content for that percentage of the audience that only cares about high risk, high altitude, fast-paced action and not about story and not about characters. Tony Khan is killing your company. Don't know how many times I have to tell you. He's not going to realize it. He's not going to change it because he's greedy and he's power hungry, and this is all he's wanted to do with his fucking life, and now he has it, and he doesn't know how to operate the growing mass of talent that he continues to bring in and the declining ratings that are showing for it. He doesn't know what to do. Moving to a smaller venue is not going to help. They're not. Moving from venue to venue and filling fucking 2,000-seat venues to make the shows feel good is not the end-all, be-all answer you need. You need to remove yourself. Tony is killing the company, and he needs to hire accomplished writers to get the product where it needs to be, captivating an audience with interesting characters and story that takes you from week to week to week in a compelling manner to where you want to watch. If I miss Dynamite on Wednesday, I missed nothing as far as story. Zero. Oh, but you missed a banger match. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit. People worldwide were claiming Raw last night was one of the best Raws of the year. Why? We got an 8-minute triple threat match with the ladies for the IC title. We got another match that went 4 minutes. Dominic and Gunther went 8 minutes. Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins basically did an exhibition that wasn't really a match. It was like more of an angle than anything. I mean, they had probably less than 30 minutes of pro wrestling on Monday Night Raw last night. But you know what carried the show and why everybody was so uber positive about how great the show was? Story! The interweaving of multiple storylines through multiple characters that we find interesting. The New Day, emotionally invested in the story that they've been telling, and now with Big E back, it just takes it to another level. AEW's got 0 characters that even fill that on their television show. 0. Now, but as long as they deliver banger matches and we see fucking Ricochet flip and dive to a bunch of fucking sickos that want to sit on their hands and not react to anything because they've seen it 1,000 fucking times before. No, sure, continue to do that. The shows suck. They are boring. Boring. The one thing you don't want to be is boring. Excitement. We need it. Where did it go? The feeling, where did it go? The story, where did it go? Once upon a time they did it. You know when they did it? When Punk and Cody were there. As soon as Cody left and Punk was gone, Tony said, this is my show now. And Tony is showing you how clueless he really is. Eric Bischoff said nothing wrong. Nothing. As far as I'm concerned, what Eric Bischoff said on Ariel Helwani's show last night, or yesterday, was probably the best quotes, the best statement he's ever had, ever, on AEW. You want to know what's wrong with AEW? There you go. I don't know how anybody can listen to this man and say, Eric Bischoff's a grifter. Eric Bischoff is wrong. Eric Bischoff is 100% factual in everything he said to Ariel Helwani. Fix it. But we know it's not going to be fixed. There is no hope for AEW because nobody has any hope in Tony Khan.